It is now my pleasure to turn the program over to Dave Gustovich. Dave, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Dave Gustovich. I am the Area Vice President of the Center of Excellence for Oracle and NetSuite, and spend quite a bit of my time in the food and beverage space. But before we get started, we will be making some comments in relationship to our current functionality, as well as making references to some potential future functionality and upcoming releases, as you can see via the safe harbor statement that we have on the page. But before we get started, let me introduce myself and give you a little bit more background as to my experience in the food industry, but also the manufacturing industry as a whole. So we come to NetSuite via an acquisition of IQD Solutions. Many of you who follow NetSuite might be aware of that. Part of the reason for that acquisition is IQD's deep food and beverage industry experience, many of which extends well over 20 years, and for myself, as you see at the bottom of the page, well over 28 years. And to that end, we also have an extensive amount of experience in operations and supply chain capabilities, especially as it relates to the food and beverage manufacturing. And as you also notice, myself personally, I like to obviously invest in the food and beverage space, and part of an investment group that goes after and helps companies to grow as they move into becoming very competitive in the marketplace. So let's talk a little bit about food and beverage and companies' objectives. And when you think of NetSuite and you think about all the capabilities that we have, it's really all about the end customer. Because at the end of the day, it's important that we support their business needs in relationship to whether or not they want organic, natural products, whether they want to buy your products via an e-commerce platform, or perhaps they want to purchase your product at a restaurant or at a retail store. All that is important to be able to give you a platform that continues to evolve and meet the growing business needs of the marketplace. Part of that capability, Tom, yeah, thank you. Part of that capability is to give a unified infrastructure so that we meet the effectiveness of the supply chain and the requirements of that growing market need. Tom, hold on one second, I have to cough. Okay, sorry, folks. Just had a little bit of a coughing spell. Tom, if you could for a moment, I just had some medical procedures. Can you take the next couple slides for me, please? And I'll come back in.
Sure. So part of the idea is to have a unified infrastructure. Everything you're going to see in NetSuite today is all in one solution, and it's going to handle the supply chain from the origin of the products all the way through selling the products, getting return on the products, and product traceability. Part of what you're going to see today just has to do with business agility, being able to turn on a dime. So we'll be covering some areas of not getting cornered into a system that doesn't give you a lot of flexibility in handling new requirements, and just the whole idea of team enablement and collaboration and bringing together everybody on the same page. So as we get into, we have a lot of manufacturing companies and a lot of food companies within the manufacturing space, and it's all about controlling the cost to produce. It's about handling not only discrete and batch manufacturing and make to order and make to stock, but also contract manufacturing as far as the planning and the scheduling, which again, optimizing that shop floor is key. So whether you're running finite or infinite scheduling, better material management and tracking that loss and that yield loss and getting a truer picture of the cost. integrated quality management to make sure your incoming and your in-process checks are being done and everything is checking out, otherwise quarantine that product. We'll be getting into kind of the easy button side, looking at the shop floor data collection and doing that on a tablet or an iPad. And then throughout the whole idea, this is all about continuous improvement, lean manufacturing, and making the process better and more efficient. So the ease of use is important. So we'll be looking at the tablet today. We'll be looking at the iPhone today. We'll be looking at the desktop today, because if it's not easy to use, then it's not going to be, you're not going to get traction with it. We're also, we have something we're going to talk about today, which is SuiteSuccess, which has to do with getting your business up and going in about 100 days. But like that whole theme of continuous improvement, it's not just about that first 100 days or that remediating, getting your base financials and CRM and inventory management, but it keeps going up as you go from those 100 days up, and really for the whole life of the business, up through and expanding and innovating and enhancing and disrupting the market. So the tools we'll be looking at today are really going to be an end-to-end type of solution. So some of the things we'll be talking about today is just the whole idea of controlling your costs, controlling the quality, controlling the throughput. We'll talk a bunch about just lean-based areas of the system, about doing things once and then having that pass into the next step. The idea that a lot of times it's multiple plant, multiple locations, so you'll be increasing the effectiveness and the visibility. And just the idea of being able to set up your standards, record against those standards, variance against those standards, all in real time, and optimize that manufacturing value chain. So with that, I'm going to take back over my portion on this. I'm Tom Hayes. I'm based in sunny Chicago right now. It's 30 degrees today. It's supposed to be 70 degrees tomorrow, so it's been a really crazy winter. I'm a principal sales consultant in the manufacturing side, and my background is I had a programming company in Los Angeles for about 20 years, where I was a Microsoft certified professional solution developer. I was an Intuit developer and a certified professional advisor for QuickBooks. I know a lot of companies are coming off that. I wrote ERP systems for companies like Telecom International. I wrote a 200-store point of sale ERP system that integrated into Four Eyes Optical 1,200 people manufacturing plant. And I didn't want to learn .NET, so I got into sales, and I worked for some NetSuite competitors like Epicor before I saw the light as far as NetSuite's platform and the ability to adapt to change and really bringing in the ability to build on that solution. On a personal point, I had made myself the mayor of Canoga Park, California when I was in California by handing out pens that said Tom Hayes the mayor. It was in quotes, so no harm, no foul, but I taught my kids you can be anything you want if you put quotes around it. And I was also lucky enough to have a Malibu beach house with neighbors like Shirley MacLaine, Adam Sandler's manager, Gary Busey to the right, and Chris Chelios when he won the Stanley Cup. So those were some interesting stories. So let's jump into the content. In the next 40 minutes, you're going to see 5 areas in NetSuite that have been designed and tested in the field to help you grow and protect your business. First thing we're going to do is show you how marketing has shifted from old school phone books and purchase DNB lists to more social media selling on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. The second thing that we're going to cover is we're going to talk about SuiteSuccess for manufacturing. It's our program that can get you live in the cloud in about 100 days using our tried and true manufacturing leading practices. And then we'll go in and show you how NetSuite, you can use modern technology to manage the shop floor like an iPad or an iTablet. We're then going to see the platform. As far as the NetSuite platform, it's going to help you future-proof your business and adapt to changing needs that you may not even know you have today, not to get locked into a specific version of the software. And then finally, and very important to food and beverage companies, we're going to talk about show you some NetSuite built-in traceability. It's going to help you monitor and track any customer product issues. It's going to help you tie them back to the finished and the raw materials. And in the case you run into a quality problem and you need to trace raw components to the finished good, you can see everywhere where that product was sold. So getting on to modern day marketing, in the past, manufacturing companies used to purchase D&B list or even worse, just open up the phone book and do cold calling for generating leads and sales. And that's not the way people market today. Today, companies are using Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn to help generate leads 24/7, 365. Prospects are coming to them. And especially with millenniums, and I have 6 kids, so I can tell you all about it, they're not going to accept your old way of doing things. And if you're like most manufacturing companies, you just haven't changed with the time. I'm going to show you how with NetSuite you can come up to speed almost overnight. So let's just jump in the software. Let me show you how today's modern marketing technology can generate new leads that turn into sales faster, more efficiently. So in this section, we're going to cover 5 areas. The first thing you're going to see is how leads are collected through social media integration like Facebook and leverage for marketing and sales activities directly into NetSuite. Then we'll take a look at how automated marketing can tie into a campaign and a promotion. We're going to be selling some hummus today with a 10% off promotion on the first sale. And then we'll follow up that lead and record the results using NetSuite's integrated and embedded customer relationship management. If the lead goes well, which I think it just might today, we'll follow up and we'll quickly create a lead quote from the lead without any data reentry. And then finally, one thing a lot of systems don't do, you'll track the ROI and the results from the social media program to see how it's affected your bottom line. The sample product we're going to use in the presentation today is a container of hummus. You'll notice that it's a lot number field. We're tracking the lot number on the finished goods as well as at least one of the raw materials that we'll see in a moment. You can see that in this case, as far as the units, we can sell these in eaches or boxes of 12 or cases of 48, so we handle multiple units of measure. You'll see some manufacturing, some product class and families and departments that'll help slice and dice the data in our real-time reporting, as well as some critical scheduling attributes like, hey, does this contain nuts, or let's do the light color before the heavier color. Just the whole idea of getting the best efficiency and with food safety being such an issue, things like tracking attributes or allergies that we need to schedule together. The hummus that we're going to be tracking today, it's made up of these 5 components from lime juice through the container. You'll see that we can track component yield that says, hey, we need 5 ounces of this lime juice in order to get 4 useful in the bill of materials, so we can track component yield. You'll see that we're tracking these in ounces and gallons and pounds and eaches with multiple units of measure. You'll also see that we can control our operations, so we have some blending and then packaging and inspection, what resources going into those operations so that we can do our work in progress and track accurate inventory. Within NetSuite, we can handle this as far as our costing. We can use standard cost or average cost, and that's going to include your labor and your materials and your burden and your setup, the machine runtime and the overhead, or whatever components you want, as well as our run rates for the product at each stage or each operation. So in this case, I'm going to jump in and take a look at a Facebook page. This is for Alpha. We're at a trade show this week, and it's saying, catch us at the food show this week and get a 10% off your first order of hummus. It can have a link right to a contact page that's going to dump right into NetSuite. So when somebody comes and executes that link, it's going to take them to an online form. This form was created in NetSuite, and one of the things you'll hear me say a bunch of times today, it's being done without having to be a programmer. So with some drag and drop forms, we're able to create a contact us form. As Bill Brilliant comes in and fills in his information, we know that we're getting accurate information as far as we're not having any data reentry mistakes, and Bill is saying, please send me some information on the hummus. As Bill submits that form, this could even be at a kiosk, at a trade show, somebody coming up to a booth. Automatically, the email went out. It redirected them to the page of your choice, and now I can come into NetSuite and start working. So as I log into NetSuite now from any browser, any device, anywhere I have internet connection, I'm going to log in as a sales rep. Part of SuiteSuccess has to do with having role-based dashboards out of the box day one for not only Alex Wolf, the sales rep, but for all the different aspects of your business. I'll be dumped into a dashboard that's got all my reminders, it's got all of my calendar items, it's got all of my inventory, my personal KPIs, and you'll notice here that I'm into my leads and I have 5 current leads. So when that lead came in, it automatically went into NetSuite. Based on the lead assignment roles, it'll push that lead to the assigned sales rep dashboard, and now I'm sitting here into my new leads, and when I pop up, I am going to see that I have a brand new lead that just came in. It's tied to that trade show, it's tied to that campaign, and it's tied to Brilliant Foods, that lead that just came in. So just really quickly, I'm able to see exactly what that lead wanted. They wanted some information on the hummus. I can really quickly market to that lead and try to generate sales without having the inefficiency of re-entering the data or following up on bad information. You'll see that in the communication tab, you'll see that an email went out as soon as that submission happened on the Facebook page, where a 10% off discount to the first sale was automatically sent out. Without us having to do anything, just part of that drip marketing that's within NetSuite. And then also NetSuite has workflow built throughout the application. So in this case, I want to make sure as a sales manager that leads don't go stale. Stale leads equals bad leads. So I have the ability here, I have a sales rep acknowledgement button that comes in and just lets the rep acknowledge the vice president how fast or slow the reps of Alpha are responding to those new leads and tracking the response rate and the follow-up rates and the win rates within those leads. So the next thing I'm going to do is call the lead, pick up the phone, and record the results within NetSuite CRM. So I'll go to the communication area, and I'll say I want to track an activity, I want to log a phone call, and I'm going to say that I talked to Bill, quote, 4 cases to start of hummus. So this is really key in what we're seeing with successful manufacturing and food and beverage companies is just recording that tribal knowledge that most struggling companies just don't have the time or the system. They just skip it. And not recording what happens when you talk with a lead or a customer for everyone to see can really cause problems. For instance, a lead can call in and get 2 different answers from 2 different service reps, or get worse, get 2 prices, maybe one's at lunch, one's on vacation. And by having all of this information stored in the CRM and recording that tribal knowledge, it's going to lead to more consistent customer service and better customer satisfaction. As far as being lean in the system, with a single click of a button, we can record that quote from that phone call, so everything's linked within NetSuite, and it's tied together, so we know Brilliant Foods, I'm the sales rep on here. If we're doing opportunity tracking, I can go in and say, you know what, this is in negotiation, so it's 75%, or it's just a brand new opportunity, so it's only identified as 10%. And this can also feed into planning for buying as far as demand and then supply planning as far as the value chain. I can see that I can say when am I expecting to close this lead. It's all tied to the lead source. As I come down in my items now, I'm going to start typing in a part number. I'm going to pull up the hummus. It's going to tell me real time I have 769 or 96 available. Maybe I'm doing these in unit of measure of cases, and I want to do 4 cases here. So it's telling me I have 16 cases available. I'm going to quote 4 of these. I can also use the NetSuite's available to promise on the order entry or the quote, saying, you know what, yeah, I can get those out by tomorrow for 4 of them. But if I look at my work orders and my sales orders, if I need, 2,000 of them, I can't make that promise until 4/19. So just setting that expectation of delivery date up front versus starting out this brand new customer under a bad expectation. NetSuite's going to help you that on the customer service side. We also had that 10% off promo that came with the system. So as soon as I go in and add that item, it's going to do my math for me as far as extending that, and then I have that promotion that I'm going to bring in, and it's going to give me $105 off because of that 10% off that first purchase. I also have the ability for, doing computers, what computers do, to look at what other similar customers are buying and have the chance to increase that quote size and number of line items on the quote using upsell items. At that point, I'm going to hit save and email that button, or hit the save and email button. It just got off my desk into the customer's inbox very quickly, and the whole idea here is following up on those quotes because a stale quote equals a lost lead. From the quote, what you'll notice now is the prospect Brilliant Foods, or the lead is no longer a lead but a prospect. It's following through the lead to a prospect to a customer life cycle within the CRM. And we can also track that activity back to the marketing campaign. So however many times that customers come to our website, we're omni-channel, so our website is also one solution, but we can see that they came into this 10% discount off this product trade show, and I can very quickly and efficiently see all the communication that went out as far as drawing people into that trade show, as well as vital statistics. I had 58 leads generated. I had 8 purchases. What's my cost per purchaser? What's my cost per lead? What is my total ROI in revenue and cost of that trade show? So that I can go and look and see if next week or next year I'm going to attend that or not. And this is something just a lot of systems that you'll look at just don't have this level of flexibility or the scope to handle things like this. So we just saw NetSuite's modern-day marketing tools in action. You use Facebook to generate a lead. A promo email was automatically sent to your sales rep who acknowledged the lead that they accepted it. The rep followed up on the lead, created a quote with a single click, and then marketing was able to analyze the ROI for effectiveness and the campaign results in real-time dollars. The next section we're going to get into has to do with to see what NetSuite's SuiteSuccess program that I mentioned in the beginning is all about. And believe it or not, about 75% of all ERP projects fail, or they don't accomplish what was meant to be accomplished in the first place. And quite simply put, most ERP projects bite off too much at once, and they never get things off the ground. Why is that? Because most ERP companies start with a blank slate when they're implementing your new business application, and they try to reinvent the wheel for every new project. It's very good for their professional services revenue, but it's not good for you and getting traction. So by the time that you get the base system working, some 12 to 18 months later, you find out you actually have to be a programmer to create dashboards and reports and KPIs, and you're not ready for that. Wouldn't it make sense if the software company that you're dealing with packaged up and wrote all those leading practices into the application that they deliver? Well, that's exactly what we do at NetSuite with SuiteSuccess. It's a program and it's a roadmap for delivering great customer experience with tangible business results in about 100 days. So we've distilled down our experience from about 20,000 implementation, many of them manufacturing and food and beverage companies, and we've leveraged our industry experience and we've built in more than 3,000 hours worth of manufacturing leading practices and business flows for you to start out with day one. And then to help jumpstart your adoption, we've included predefined roles like we saw just for a moment in the beginning: senior executive, controller, sales, warehouse, accounting. And then we tie this all together into a turnkey deployment and setup and training at a fixed fee. So it's really different than what a lot of other competitors are doing. Let's go back into the software and let me show you how you can get your business from zero to cloud in about 100 days while still getting home at night for dinner. We're going to cover 3 areas in this section. First, we're going to see the lead to quote leading practice that we just saw in action as far as the trade show and the Facebook. Then you're going to see how NetSuite for manufacturing has similar flows for multi-mode manufacturing. And then lastly, we're going to take that quote that came in from the Facebook campaign, we're going to turn it into a sales order with another single click of the button, and take a look at the manufacturing work order that we're telling it to create, because I'm going to do a make-to-order item with that hummus in this sample. So this is the lead to quote leading practice, and we have these for all aspects of your business. It's going to start out with your sales department lead. You're going to define your strategy for growing and managing your sales, like this Facebook page with a 10% off promo, and it's going to give you a place to track the return on investment of those different promos and different strategies. You're going to use NetSuite's built-in dashboards for the reporting side and the analytics side of the lead to quote process. And then what's going to happen as these leads come in, we're going to manage them. First, as prospects, we can use opportunities or go right into quotes like you saw, or one can feed the other. And then as we follow up on this quote, the whole idea is for us to venture into the order to cash leading practice, which is another screen like this that is part of our deliverables, all the way down to getting that order delivered and out the door. So NetSuite also gives you leading practices for make-to-stock, contract manufacturing, make-to-order items. These are 3 of them that are out there. And like I mentioned, the example that we're going to follow today is a make-to-order item. So we had seen the item, we saw the bill of material, we can have revision levels on the finished good as well as the raw components. We use the lead to quote process to come in and create that lead. Now we're going to go in and create a sales order from that quote. We're going to automatically create a work order from that sales order because we have it identified as a make-to-order item. And then that'll feed into other areas within it. Do we have the right materials there, or do we need to go buy it? Once we have all the materials, we're going to release that work order, possibly doing it by attributes, so all the nuts versus no nuts get run together. And then as we create that work order, relieve our raw materials, put it into our finished goods, we have the ability then to pick, pack, ship it, and get it out the door. So let's go back into NetSuite and convert that quote to an order and kick off a work order. One of the things in NetSuite, it's about efficiency. So how often does it happen that somebody called in on a quote or an order, and then 2 minutes later you're on to the next thing and they call and they want to make a change? So we have tools like having all your recent activities, so I could very quickly go into the quote, pull it up. I'm going to click on the sales order button and convert that quote to a sales order. Everything's going to be linked from the customer and that estimate 1240 and Brilliant Foods into the sales order. I can make any adjustments that I need to make on any adding any more items or quantities or doing any upsell items, so I can make any adjustments. I can use that available to promise that I showed you on the quote to help set up the accurate estimated ship date. And then you'll also notice that I have a field called Create Work Order. That's because this is a make-to-order item, and I told NetSuite to automatically go in and create a work order. I have my discount out here from the original quote, so that carried over. And then I'm able to go in and again, get this off my desk on one click of a button. It's going to go out to Bill Brilliant into his inbox, send it out as far as the email, and also at the same time, we ask NetSuite to go in and create a work order. So it's going to create a linking work order that has everything tied together for this make-to-order item. So right now we can see that sales order 789 is now linked to work order 450. And then as we drill into this work order, and by the way, I can have as many different screens or tabs open. I'm here in Chicago with 3 monitors, one on each side of my laptop, so I can multitask. But what we can see here is that we created a work order. It's for Brilliant Foods. It's for the hummus. Everything's connected to the sales order. We have our promise dates. We can either use forwards or backwards scheduling, just depending on your needs. We have infinite as well as finite scheduling that can be used. I have this being released in a planned state that's just part of setup, and I can either release this by scheduling like attributes together in another screen, or I can just say I'm going to go ahead and release this work order right now on the screen. So when I say I'm going to release that order, it's going to go out and do my commitment for my raw materials and run my scheduling, forward or backward scheduling. So you can see now my items are committed for each one of my raw materials, including my material loss as far as I need 960 in order to produce 768. And you can also see that we have our planned operations for blending, packaging, inspection, the start date, the planned rate, the setup minutes, and the run rates. So you just saw SuiteSuccess in action. We saw the lead to quote and the make to order leading practices. Then we use those lean practices to turn the quote into an order, create a work order without any additional data reentry. And really, SuiteSuccess for manufacturing, one of the things it's going to do, and it's just unprecedented, is it's going to get you live within about 100 days on budget, and it's going to help you run leaner with a reduced IT spend. Next area we're going to cover is mobile on the shop floor. So remember these things? I remember in 8th grade sending girls messages that said Shell Oil and I love you, and, you know, do you still use a pager for your business? And hopefully the answer on that is, of course you don't anymore. You move beyond that to smartphones and other devices. So why is it that you'd use a 30-year-old technology on your shop floor to manage all your inventory adjustments and work order commitments? At NetSuite, we're going to give you the ability to use modern technology to help manage the shop floor. And if you take a look at our mobile device, a lot of customers are doing it on a tablet. Maybe it's got a rough skin, and it's all the information updates instantly, and because it's all one system in your ERP. So it's easy to use, anyone can access it, and it's not those clunky, expensive old handholds that are, you know, difficult for anyone to use. So we're going to go in and see what a modern-day manufacturing floor looks like as far as the shop floor with NetSuite's mobile technology. I'm going to show you 3 things in this section. We're going to see NetSuite's mobile solutions for collecting shop floor transactions. We're going to take the work order we just created. We're going to record activity against it using a tablet. Then we're going to dig deeper and show you how you can track material issues and labor issues, downtime, and recording production on the shop floor. And I'll also show you how the work order is updated real time based on that information that's collected on the shop floor. I'm going to pull up the tablet view of NetSuite now, and I'm going to log in from the shop floor. One of the things that you're going to see is real-time dispatch. So I have my list of all my workstations, so everything's being dispatched as it's being released real-time within NetSuite. As I pull up my blending workstation, it's going to bring me up to date as far as everything that's going on real-time. And here's the 192 that we just ordered in those 4 cases of the work order that came over from the Facebook quote. So as I pop into here, this is going to be an easy, simple to use screen. I'm going to start my labor tracking on this. I have the ability to go in and enter any production. I could set up scrap reasons and reason codes and record my scrap, as well as record my downtime and the downtime reasons all within, this simple to use tablet. If I come in and record production, I'm going to say I'm recording 190 of these. I'm going to either have NetSuite assign a lot number, or I can assign a lot number for this. Again, all about traceability. I'll just say that it's lot 450. If this is an expiration date, I can either calculate it from a shelf life or enter in the expiration date of this product. Again, all that traceability and tracking is vital to the food and beverage industry. When I say OK now, it's saying, OK, Tom, I'm producing 190 units, and it's sending that over into NetSuite. That's been recorded, and it's out there in the ERP. Again, this is all one system. If I had any scrap, I could record any scrap here real time, or same thing if I wanted to record any downtime, either planned or unplanned. And then once I'm done here, I'm going to stop that, stop recording that production. I can come back into my tablet, and we're going to see instantaneously, real time, I needed 192, I made 190, and that's all been updated for everybody to see throughout the company. If I come back into that work order, and pull up that work order 450, you're going to see now that I have my data in my production data, that it recorded those production results real time for that first phase and recorded those results instantaneously against our standards. We have an area of NetSuite, again, like I mentioned, I have 6 kids, so somebody's always getting married or moving or something, so I use Google a whole lot in my life. I wouldn't buy a system that didn't have that sort of searching built within it. So within NetSuite, I can just go in and type in a piece of information. It's going to go and look at where that 408 is used throughout the application based on my rights. And if I go into a completed work order and get into, one that's gone through all of the steps, I had 800 items that I requested. I built 800 of them. I can see what all my consumption was. I can see that all of my production data, so it's tracking, by operation, by asset. I can see things like my production loss and the reason, my downtime and the reason, my production results and who did it, on what asset for each operation, as well as my labor for each one of those operations, giving me a true picture of my time actually spent. I can be recording data. I can be recording results and doing component items, either backflushing them, or I could issue the components. So you have the flexibility to either do backflushing or issue. Even on a tablet, I could have issued those components. We're going to see that I've done some work order issues, which is taking our raw materials and turning it into work in progress. As I go into one of those transactions, against everything's linked in NetSuite, I can see what actually I used on each one of these operations. And I can also track it back, and we'll end the presentation in a little bit here with the idea that I'm tracking all the way back to my finish, my lime juice, the lot number of that lime juice, and I could keep tracking within that lot and see all the transactions that lime juice had affected just with a click of a button. And I can track this all the way down to the GL impact if I have the correct roles. It's saying I'm taking all of those raw materials, putting them into the work in progress. Later on, when I go and I do my work order completion, it's going to take that work in progress and turn it into a finished good financials. So you just saw that we took the work order created from the sales order on the hummus. We use a tablet to record shop activities paperless. You saw the impact from that activity real time with labor, materials, machine runtime, downtime, GL impact. And NetSuite's mobile solution is going to leverage inexpensive tablets versus more expensive clunky guns. It's easier to use, and you're going to get a truer picture of your costs, including the downtime and the scrap. And all this is going to give you total visibility from lead to quote to sales order through fulfillment. The fourth area we're going to go into has to do with future-proofing your business. And so we're going to talk about mitigating future risk when you select a new ERP. Can it adapt to your future needs, or are you going to have to adapt to it? So you saw us leverage NetSuite to get the Facebook quote in. We followed up on it. We turned it into a sales order. We created the work order. We recorded production against it, and everything's going as planned, except now you find out that work orders are backing up. You have a late work order issue. You've gone through all this trouble to bring in new customers, and you're not getting them out the door. That means unhappy customers. It means reduced cash flow. It means headaches for everybody. So what's going to happen is, if you imagine you're a senior executive for Alpha Foods, in this case you're Anthony Hicks, you're sitting at home with that first cup of coffee and taking a look, logging into your system, taking a look at important reports and dashboard that are going to reflect the state of the business without ever leaving your kitchen. And you're reviewing some reports that we'll look at in a moment, and you realize, hey, there's a critical piece of information that's missing, and I need work order resolution to find out what we're going to do on these missing work orders. What do? Well, because you chose NetSuite for manufacturing, you're going to pick up the phone, you're going to call Nick, your production manager, you're going to ask him to update the report that you're viewing on your mobile device with a work order resolution. And with most systems, this real-time, customizable, non-programmatic access isn't available. Businesses get locked into an old version of the software where the users become frustrated, helpless, and forced to view old information if they can view it at all. You're sitting there with your help card. What we're going to do is we're going to see how you can access NetSuite from any device, anywhere, anytime, how you can quickly customize the solution and adapt to your business needs, and how all this is done real time to feed you the best information. So what I'm going to do is switch over to my iPhone, and now I'm sitting over here as Anthony Hicks. I'm a senior executive. My iPhone is sitting here in my hand. This is I have a connection to it, so it's showing you real time. And now everything that I've been showing you as far as dashboards, it's also mobile on your iPhone or your Android device. If I need to record approve any expense reports, I can do that while I'm standing in line or sitting in a meeting somewhere. If I just got out of a lunch meeting that I brought a customer out, I can go in and get paid myself and put that expense in, and it can go through a workflow approval. I have my reminders, I have my KPIs, I have my KPI scorecard to give me real-time executive metrics about where I'm at in all my financial ratios or my KPIs, as well as any trends or graphs that I want to have within the mobile device, just like the desktop. So one of the things we're looking at today is here's the late work orders I talked about that Anthony's looking at, and he starts coming over and looking which item, and if I want, I can put this into the profile mode, and I can see these work orders are stacking up. I have them 24 days, 23 days. This isn't acceptable. So as I pick up the phone and I call up the production manager, and I go back into NetSuite, and I'm going to go in as one extra click there. I'm going to now go in as a production manager and take care of this so I don't keep getting those phone calls. So I log in, and I'm going to switch over to Nick Ransom as far as the production manager, and this would be the SuiteSuccess dashboard already set up for Nick with all of the KPIs and reports. I'm going to go into this late work order report. This is going to be the same information that Anthony's looking at. As I pull open one of these work orders, I can see that I have this work order resolution field. And that work order resolution field has some help that says we need to keep upper management like Anthony in the loop with work order resolutions keep this current or ask me if you have any questions. None of this came with NetSuite out of the box. The work order resolution we added without being a programmer. The data that's in here we added without being a programmer. Same with the help file. So the idea behind it is Nick can go in without being a programmer, pop up that list of late work orders, edit this search as long as he has access to do it, and we can quickly and easily add that work order resolution column. Maybe I'm going to call it work order resolution or whatever I want as that label. I'm going to add that to that save search, and you can do these with all aspects of your business. And now when I save this, I am now going to have this work order resolution that I can say added shift, procured manually, and give this information that Anthony was looking at. And most importantly, all of this is real time, so if I come back into Anthony's view of things and bring that screen back up and go back into late work order resolution, he's not going to have to make that call next time for that work order resolution. We did it all without having to be a programmer real time by just adding that within NetSuite. So we just went back very quickly, very easily. In real time, we're able to add that work order resolution. We get access from any device, anytime, anywhere. And NetSuite lets you personalize the system to give you the best current information in a format that you choose without being a programmer. And it gives you the flexibility to add your own records and fields and forms and drop-down lists and easily adapt those to future unknown needs. So now you sold and made and shipped the product. We got over our late work order resolution. You know, what happens when something goes wrong and you have to trace your finished goods back to the lot numbers and back to raw material lots? We all know it's never fun to have FDA or USDA or others, you know, tracking within the business, tracking product issues. In the final section, we're going to see a customer support case come through the phone or email or website, identifying and documenting a problem with a lot of that hummus. You're going to see a backward trace of finished goods to lot number to raw material lot numbers. And then we can use a forward trace of the problem raw material to track it back to any other orders or any other stock that's still in the warehouse so that we can contain an issue and give you accurate information on the impact of the problem. Most of the companies that we run into today, before NetSuite, they're trying to do all this traceability on Excel files or Access databases, and it's causing tracking to be manual and too much time when at the time that customer responsiveness and material accountability is vital to the business. They're just not able to get the information quick enough. So I'm going to log back into NetSuite. I have this product watch pane that I have that's alerting me, that's saying, hey, we have problems with quality. I have customers complaining on this, and I can start seeing that I'm getting multiple items of that serial number or that lot with some bad hummus. So we have a case system built within NetSuite. As I pull up that case, I can go in and whether this is coming in from the phone or your website or an email, we can adapt all of those changes. But, you know, there's something wrong with a dip. What's the incident date? Who's the contact? Who's the customer? What's the item? What's the serial number? What's the case? What interactions have I had with that customer, as well as escalation paths as far as keeping the customer and people within your organization all up to date. And then I can use this dashboard and do a KPI or a report on the problems that are coming in. And then I'm able to go in and use NetSuite's embedded lot tracing to help figure out what's going on. So in this case, I'm going to do a backward lot trace. I'm going to choose one of my locations. I'm going to choose the hummus. I'm going to pull up that lot 3917. I'm going to start, go back as far as I want. Maybe I'll start back in March through today. And then I'm going to go have NetSuite go gather all of the information. So I can tell for this lot, for this item, I have 595 items. I have 205 that have gone out the door. In this case, I can take a look at all the fulfillments that happened for this and see which orders went out the door. I can also come in and take a look and see what raw materials were out there and track it down as far as, hey, there was a lot tracked lime juice that was part of this. And as part of our research, if we find out that the lime juice is the problem with this 917-436 lot issue, I can now come in and run a forward trace from those raw components and see everywhere that it's been used. So now I'm going to run in this as far as my lime juice. I'm going to choose that 436 lot number. Choose as far back as I want to go with analysis. Again, I'll go from March 1st through today. And now I'm going to go through and have NetSuite pull up all the related information back to that raw material that went into finished goods and trace it back as far as the source. Where did I buy it? Where was it used in work orders? As well as what orders went out the door using that. Okay, so now I can see all the work orders that were used on this defective raw material. I can go in and see where that was procured as far as what PO, purchase order 425 from this receipt date. I can see what lot it came in on, how much came in. And I also have the ability to go in and start tracking down all the orders that were touched against all of those different work orders so that I can get everybody up to speed and start containing the problem. I can also export this out to Excel and give myself a whole complete view of all of this data to analyze. So you just saw how NetSuite allows you to track your cases online versus doing it in Excel. It gives you forwards and backwards lot traceability, and it reduces the time and effort to be more responsive in case of a problem. Those were the 5 areas that I wanted to show today in the live demo portion of the presentation. I appreciate the time you committed, this hour to seeing NetSuite in action in the cloud, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, or Dave and I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, if you would like to ask, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If you would like to ask a question, please use your web console. Locate the Q&A panel on the lower right-hand side of your screen. Type your question in the open area and click Send to submit.
Okay, I see a couple questions coming in. One of them is, can PLC outputs from the manufacturing line be auto-populated into KPIs and QA metrics? The answer is yes. NetSuite is built on all open APIs, so whether you're using, true web-to-web or true API type of programming interface or doing something like an ODBC interface, we do have the ability to do machine-to-machine type of connections.
Hey, Tom, again, Dave Gustovich, great job, and thanks for pinch hitting a little bit earlier. I would also add that...
He's alive. You're alive.
Yeah, I am. You shouldn't have an oral procedure before you get ready to do a WebEx. But anyways, for those who are familiar with the Internet of Things or the Industrial Internet of Things, NetSuite is actively working on a product roadmap right now, and there will be future announcements related to that, in the upcoming months and definitely years ahead as well. So we're very excited about that because that is another growing area of interest as a part of that plant and integration capabilities that many of our customers are looking for.
A couple other questions that came in. One of them is, besides tablets, can we use those old-fashioned, expensive, clunky guns also? And the answer is yes. NetSuite does have a full wireless warehouse management functionality, and a lot of people are gravitating towards a more inexpensive tablets, but in certain cases, the gun's the right thing to do, and we can certainly use those. One last question I have here is that the things that we saw you change with the work order resolution, can I still get updates to the software? And the answer to that is yes. Any updates that are made to the software get done in a different layer. We do 2 major releases every year. And unlike a lot of competitors out there that might have 5 or 6 different product offerings for manufacturing and different aspects of the business, all of our billion-dollar company or business units revenues are derived off of one single version of the software, including the one that runs for distribution and manufacturing. So it's all in one area, one version.
Tom, I have another question that came in relative to batch management. And the answer is yes, NetSuite does have batch management for the mixing, the blending operations. NetSuite has a number of different ways in which we can handle that. We do generate, as a part of our batch management process, batch records or batch IDs. So, for example, if you have the ability to produce products across multiple assets and you want to run that same batch of product across multiple assets simultaneously, as a part of our scheduling engine, we do even have the ability to split that batch out and give each of those batch a unique ID as a part of that lot track traceability that Tom was speaking about earlier.
Thank you, Dave. With that said, I don't see any other questions, so we'll give you a minute back to your day here. We appreciate the time, and thanks for attending our food and beverage presentation.
Thank you again for joining us today. This concludes today's web conference. You may now disconnect.